6 months of preparation transformed the outpost into a base of operations. The asteroid hideaway expanded as more deserters and skeptics from both sides arrived. Maya coordinated intelligence while Kate oversaw military training. Humans and elves worked side by side, united by growing evidence of manipulation. Amara stood at the center of it all. The princess formerly known as Lyra had fully embraced her new identity and purpose. Her crystal formations had stabilized into elegant armor that could extend or retract at will. Her combat abilities had evolved beyond any human or elven standard. When synchronized with Ember, she could absorb, redirect, and amplify energy with devastating precision. The war preparations between Earth and the Dominion accelerated. Each side claimed the other had developed superweapons, each accused the other of planning first strikes. Intelligence gathered by Maya's network suggested that advisors close to both governments were pushing for preemptive action. False flag operations had increased along border regions. The time for waiting had ended. Amara called the Leadership Council to session in the main hall. Ember curled behind her, the dragon now so large it barely fit through the reinforced doors. The creature had become a symbol of the resistance. Its telepathic abilities allowed it to detect deception, making it invaluable during planning. Maya spread star charts across the table. The Dominion fleet positions here and here, she indicated. Earth forces gathering in these sectors. If these deployments continue, they will engage within 2 weeks. Kate studied the formations. Something is wrong, she noted. The positioning leaves both fleets vulnerable to flanking attacks. No competent commander would arrange forces this way unless they want the war to be devastating, Amara finished. They seek maximum casualties on both sides. Ember projected images into their minds, ancient memories of dragon lords presiding over crystal cities, servants both, elven and human, attending them. The message was clear. The dragon lords sought to weaken both species to prepare for their return to power. Our intelligence indicates King Zephyr rarely leaves the crystal caverns beneath the royal palace, Maya said. The caverns are the source of the Dominion's power, the crystal energy that powers their technology. Their weapons all flows from there, and likely the source of his transformation. Amara added. Her own crystal formations pulsed at the mention of the caverns. My earliest treatments took place there. The disease began after those sessions. The plan took shape. Amara would lead a small strike team to the crystal caverns. The princess knew the secret passages from her childhood. The team would infiltrate the royal palace, bypass the guards, and confront the false king. Maya would coordinate a simultaneous information campaign, exposing the manipulation to both governments. Kate would lead a defensive force to prevent the fleets from engaging should the infiltration fail. They selected the strike team carefully. 5 former elven royal guards who had deserted after growing suspicious of the king's behavior. 3 human special forces operators with experience in Dominion territory. Maya herself would remain at the outpost coordinating communication. Kate insisted on joining Amara's team despite objections. The princess, now a warrior, approached Kate the night before their departure. They stood on the observation deck watching distant stars, the same place they had shared many conversations. You should command the defense force, Amara said. You are needed there. If the fleets engage, millions will die. Kate shook her head. Maya has capable commanders for that mission. My place is with you, Amara. Studied her mentor and friend crystal formations along her arms, pulsing gently. You have done enough, Kate Sullivan. You saved me, trained me, gave me purpose. Risk. No more. Kate smiled, touching the new prosthetic arm the outpost engineers had built. For her, I didn't bring you this far to let you face him alone, she said. Besides, someone needs to watch your back. Even fearless warriors have blind spots. The strike team departed at dawn. A modified stealth ship designed to evade both human and elven detection systems. Kate at the helm, Amara beside her, Ember secured in the expanded cargo hold. The dragon had insisted on joining, despite the tactical complications its size presented. The bond between princess and dragon had grown too strong for separation. They traveled through contested space, avoiding patrol ships from both sides. The journey to the Elven Dominion would take 4 days. 4 days to prepare for a confrontation that would determine the fate of 2 species. Kate found Amara in the ship's small training room. The princess moved through combat forms, her crystal armor extending and retracting in fluid patterns. Energy crackled between the formations, controlled. "Precise. You should rest," Kate said. "We have 2 days before arrival." Amara completed her sequence before responding. "I keep thinking about my father," she admitted. "Not the false king. The real Zephyr. The one I barely remember. Was he kind? Was he truly my father? Or was I always an experiment?" Kate leaned against the doorway. Her new prosthetic arm gleamed in the low light. "Does it matter?" Amara considered this. Her transformed face thoughtful. "I suppose not." She concluded, "I am who I choose to be now, not defined by his plans or purposes. But I wonder sometimes about my mother. No one ever spoke of her." They reached Dominion space under cover of a meteor shower. The planetary defense systems focused on the natural debris, allowing their small ship to slip through. Kate guided them toward the crystal forests that surrounded. The capital elven settlements glittered below massive structures grown, rather than built. Amara stood at the viewport watching her homeworld approach. The crystal formations along her spine pulsed with suppressed emotion. "I never thought I would return," she said. "Certainly not like this." They landed in a secluded valley 5 miles from the palace. Kate activated the ship's camouflage systems, masking it from sensors. The team assembled, checking weapons and communication devices. Ember emerged from the cargo hold, stretching massive wings. The dragon had agreed to remain behind, initially providing telepathic communication between team members and the ship. The forest glowed with internal light. Crystal trees towered hundreds of feet above them, their branches intertwined, creating natural canopies. The ground itself contained veins of luminescent crystal that pulsed like a heartbeat. Amara led them through paths remembered from childhood, her crystal formations resonating with the energy around them. As they approached the palace, Amara felt a familiar presence. She raised her hand, signaling the team to stop. "Someone comes," she whispered. 6 guards, royal pattern. Kate signaled the team to defensive positions, weapons ready. Amara shook her head. "No," she said. "They are not enemies." 6 elven warriors emerged from the crystal grove. Their armor traditional, but their expressions wary, not hostile. The leader, a tall female with silver hair, stepped forward. "Princess Lyra," she said, bowing deeply. "We have awaited your return." Amara studied them carefully. "How did you know?" The elf captain straightened. "We serve the true crown, not the false king. The creature that wears Zephyr's form changed after the assassination attempt. Those loyal to the royal blood have watched, waited. Some of us began to suspect the truth when you were sent away. More allies," Kate whispered. "Some still loyal to you." The captain nodded. "We can guide you through the eastern tunnels beneath the palace, passages known only to the royal guard. The false king rarely leaves the deep caverns now. His transformation progresses. He grows less elven with each cycle. With their new allies, they reached the palace perimeter undetected. Ancient tunnels carried them beneath the grounds. Amara led now, her memory guiding them through labyrinthine passages. The crystal energy grew stronger as they descended, the formations on Amara's body responding, pulsing with increasing brightness. Ember projected thoughts to her from the ship. "Something stirs in the deep caverns." The dragon sensed power, ancient and familiar. "Watch for deception, little sister." The central cavern lay ahead. Massive crystal columns supported a ceiling that disappeared into darkness. The space hummed with power, the source of the Dominion's energy. The birthplace of Amara's transformation guards patrolled the upper levels, but the elven captain led them through maintenance shafts, avoiding detection. They emerged on a ledge overlooking the main chamber. Below, King Zephyr stood before a massive crystal formation. His back to them, his form altered. No longer fully elven. Crystal growths extended from his spine. His hands transformed into clawed appendages. He was not alone. Scientists and advisors surrounded him. Elven guards stood at attention, though from their position Amara could see vacant expressions suggesting mind control. Screens displayed tactical information, fleet positions, weapon systems, battle projections. He plans to watch it all from here, Kate whispered. The destruction. He engineered. Amara nodded. We end this now, she said, signaling the team to spread out surrounding the chamber. The princess stepped onto the ledge, her crystal armor extending fully. The formations, catching light, refracting it in brilliant patterns. Ember had taught her to channel her energy to create an amplified presence. A way to draw attention. Command. Respect, father. She called, her voice echoing through the chamber. I have returned. The figure below turned slowly. Crystal. Formations along his face pulsed with surprise. The false king studied her, his expression shifting from shock to calculation. So the experiment returns, he said, his voice resonating strangely. A voice no longer entirely elven, and transformed beyond expectation. Amara descended the crystal stairway, her team moving into position. The elven scientists backed away, sensing the confrontation to come, the mind-controlled guards. The scout ship limped through the asteroid field that marked the border between controlled space and the lawless frontier. Kate worked the controls with practiced precision, her remaining human hand compensating for her damaged prosthetic. The encounter with the mercenaries had left their engines damaged, limiting their speed and maneuverability. Lyra stood behind the pilot seat, her transformed body now constantly emitting a soft crystalline glow. Her new form had stabilized into something both beautiful and intimidating. The crystal armor plates could retract partially into her skin when not needed, though some formations remained permanent, particularly along her spine and forearms. Ember no longer fit in the cockpit. The dragon now resided in the cargo bay, its massive body curled carefully to avoid damaging critical systems. Its growth had finally plateaued at roughly twice the size of an Earth horse. The creature's intelligence continued to develop. It now communicated in complete sentences through its telepathic link with Lyra, a link that had grown stronger after their space battle. Are you certain these people will help us? Lyra asked, watching as Kate navigated around a particularly large asteroid. These friends of yours, Kate, adjusted their course. The term friends might be generous, she admitted. We served together during the final campaigns. Some chose not to return to Earth after the peace accords. They believed the treaties gave too much to the elven side. They went into self-imposed exile. Lyra absorbed this information with her usual calm. Her crystal formations flickered briefly, betraying her concern. So they hate elves, she concluded, and I am an elf. Not exactly, Kate corrected. They distrusted the political leadership on both sides. They felt betrayed by their own government as much as they hated the enemy. The difference is, they might help us out of respect for me. Their former commander, the navigation system pinged, indicating they were approaching. Coordinates. Kate nodded. They should be here, she said, scanning the asteroid field. A voice crackled over the communication system. Unidentified vessel. You have entered protected space. Identify yourself, or be destroyed. Kate smiled at the familiar voice. Maya, still dramatic as ever, she muttered. She opened the channel. Kate Sullivan authorization code, Crimson Shadow, requesting sanctuary. A long pause followed. Then Maya Reeves' voice returned softer. Commander Sullivan. Verification confirmed. Sending. Docking coordinates. Welcome to Shadow Point. The hidden outpost appeared as they rounded a massive asteroid, a structure built directly into the rock face with minimal external signs of habitation. Small defense turrets tracked their approach. Kate guided the ship toward a concealed docking bay before leaving the cockpit. Kate turned to Lyra. They will be shocked by your appearance and Embers. The princess nodded. I understand. Many will fear us. Not fear, Kate corrected. Be cautious. There is a difference. These people have survived by being suspicious. Show them you are more than what you appear. The docking bay pressurized as their ship settled onto the landing pad. Kate led the way down the ramp, her damaged prosthetic hanging uselessly at her side. Lyra followed her crystal formations, partially retracted, though she could not hide her transformed nature entirely. Ember remained in the ship for now. The dragon was too imposing for a first impression. A small welcoming committee waited at the bottom of the ramp. Maya Reeves stood at the front. Her dark skin contrasted with the white streak in her black hair, a souvenir from a radiation incident during the war. Her eyes widened at the sight of Lyra Sullivan. "What the hell have you brought?" "To my doorstep," Maya demanded. Her hand rested on her sidearm, though she did not draw it. Kate raised her good hand in a calming gesture. "This is Lyra, former princess of the Elven Dominion. She is under my protection." Maya's eyes narrowed. Former princess. Lyra stepped forward, the crystal formations along her arms catching the artificial light. "I no longer claim allegiance to the Dominion," she said in her clear voice. "I was sent to Earth as a weapon, but I choose my own path." Now a murmur ran through the small gathering. Maya studied Lyra, her expression guarded. "You look like no elf I've ever seen," she said. "And I've seen plenty. Usually through a targeting scope." "We have much to explain," Kate said. "But first we need repairs for our ship and a safe place. To rest, we were pursued by Earth mercenaries." Maya signaled to her people. "Secure their vessel repair protocols," she ordered. Then to Kate. "Whatever trouble you've brought, I expect a full briefing." The briefing room doubled as a mess hall. Tables pushed together in the center, surrounded by mismatched chairs. Maya sat at the head with 5 of her senior staff. Kate explained their situation, the intercepted communications, Lyra's true purpose, the Defense Council's decision, and their subsequent escape. Lyra sat silently, allowing Kate to tell the story. Her crystal formations remained subdued, though they occasionally pulsed with light when certain details were mentioned. "And there's one more thing," Kate added. "We have a dragon." The room erupted in exclamations. Maya silenced them with a gesture. "A dragon," she repeated flatly. "You bring an elven princess to my outpost and casually mention, 'There's a dragon too.' Ember is bonded to me," Lyra explained. "We share a connection. It cannot be separated from me." Maya leaned back, crossing her arms. "I thought that dragons were extinct. Wiped out in the early war years, most were." Lyra confirmed Ember was from the last known egg. "The dragon has grown and evolved beyond anything recorded in Elven history." One of Maya's officers, a man with cybernetic eye implants, leaned forward. "If Earth and the Dominion both want you dead, why should we risk sheltering you?" Lyra met his gaze without flinching. "You fought the elves," she said. "You know their capabilities, but what you faced were soldiers following orders. What would happen if someone could control the crystal energy that powers elven weapons and amplify it?" The implications hung in the air. Kate watched Maya's face as understanding dawned. "You can do that." Maya said it wasn't a question. Lyra nodded. "I can absorb, redirect, and amplify energy, and with Ember we can channel it with precision. We demonstrated this ability against the mercenary ships." Maya exchanged looks with her officers. "The security implications alone," she muttered. Then, addressing Kate, "We need to see this dragon." The cargo bay doors opened, revealing Ember in full glory. The dragon filled the space, its crystalline scales shimmering with internal light. Its wings folded against its body, but still massive. Its intelligent eyes surveyed the humans, assessing them. Maya and her officers stopped at a safe distance, their hands instinctively moving toward weapons. The dragon made a low rumbling sound but remained calm. Lyra placed her hand on Ember's neck, creating a visible energy connection between them. "It's sentient," Maya observed, watching the interaction. "More than that," Kate said. "The dragon and Lyra share thoughts. Their abilities are magnified when they work together." Maya circled the dragon, careful to maintain distance. "How did you hide this from Earth scientists for 3 years?" "We didn't hide," Ember, Lyra explained. "The dragon was much smaller then, growing as I grew, changing as I changed. Your scientists studied us extensively, but they did not understand what they were seeing." After the demonstration, Maya called a private meeting with Kate and her senior staff. Lyra and Ember returned to the ship to rest. "You realize what you've brought us?" Maya said once they were alone. A weapon that both Earth and the Dominion would kill to control or destroy. Kate nodded grimly. That's why we came to you off the grid. Independent Maya paced the small conference room. I always suspected there was more to the war than we were told. The elven crystals, their properties the way they could enhance certain technologies. The governments fought over control, not ideology. A older woman with a mechanical leg spoke up. There's something else you're not considering. The girl and her dragon. Their transformation. If the king engineered her as a weapon, why send her to Earth for completion? Why not keep her in the Dominion? Kate had wondered the same thing. It's too risky, she suggested. The transformation process might affect other elves. The radiation treatments were specifically human technology. The woman shook her head. Something doesn't add up. The Dominion has always been secretive about their crystal technology. The dragons were hunted to near extinction early in the conflict before most of us were even. Recruited Maya stopped pacing. Her eyes widened with sudden realization. What if the war wasn't about territory or resources? What if it was about the dragons? The room fell silent as implications spread. Kate felt a chill. What are you suggesting? Maya leaned forward, her voice low. What do we really know about the Elven Dominion, their history, their king? They appeared in our sector, claiming territory, establishing their crystal cities. They have technology we barely understand. And they systematically eliminated dragons except for one egg which they kept. One of the officers nodded. A seed. A sample preserved, like genetic material. Kate whispered, understanding dawning. We need to know more. Maya decided. We have records here. Collected information. Fragments. From both sides, things neither government wanted known. I have people who specialize in finding buried truths. The next few days passed in cautious integration. Lyra and Ember remained mostly on the scout ship, though the princess joined Kate for meals and meetings. The outpost residents maintained distance, but curiosity gradually overcame. Fear. Kate found Lyra in the observation deck one evening. The princess stood before the viewport watching the asteroid field. Her crystal formations glowed softly in the dimmed light. Maya has researchers looking into Dominion history, Kate said, and dragon lore. They believe there may be connections we haven't seen. 3 years passed since Lyra arrived on Earth. The princess who once struggled to walk now moved with fluid grace. Her transformation continued in ways no one had predicted. Small crystal formations had become elegant patterns tracing her arms, shoulders, and spine. The structures were not merely decorative. They seemed to serve some function, growing more pronounced when Lyra was stressed or emotional. Ember had grown exponentially. The dragon now stood as tall as a horse. Its scales contained the same crystalline properties as Lyra's formation, shimmering with shared energy. The creature's intelligence had developed beyond any Earth scientist's predictions. It spoke in short sentences using a combination of human language and telepathic communication with Lyra. Their bond had deepened to something beyond companionship. They functioned as a single organism in 2 bodies. Kate Sullivan had become more than a guardian. She was a teacher friend and something close to family. She taught Lyra about human culture, combat techniques, and survival skills. The commander found purpose in guiding the alien princess, a redemption of sorts, after the war's losses a day. They sat in the living room of Kate's coastal home. The windows opened to the ocean breeze. Lyra stood by the window, her white hair now streaked with crystal strands that caught the light. She wore simple earth clothing adapted to accommodate the crystal formations along her spine. Kate was reviewing reports on her tablet when an encrypted message appeared on the screen. Her security clearance still gave her access to certain military communications. Her expression darkened as she read. Lyra noticed the change. "What troubles you?" she asked. Her accent had faded, though. Her speech patterns retained a formal quality. Kate hesitated, then decided on honesty. Earth Defense Council has intercepted communications from the Elven Dominion communications about you, Embers. head lifted from where the dragon had been resting, its now gold eyes focused on Kate. The creature moved to stand beside Lyra, their movements perfectly synchronized. "What do they say?" Lyra asked, her voice calm, though the crystals along her arms brightened. Slightly. Kate took a deep breath. "Your father, King Zephyr. He never intended for you to return to the Dominion. You were sent here for another purpose." Lyra showed no surprise. "I suspected as much," she said. "What purpose?" Kate read directly from the report. "The princess carries within her a specific genetic sequence artificially induced. The crystalline disease was deliberately engineered, not a natural condition. The sequence was designed to undergo transformation when exposed to Earth radiation treatments. The end result is a biological weapon, capable of channeling and amplifying energy on a massive scale." The room fell silent. Ember made a low, rumbling sound. The dragon's scales flashed with pulses of red energy. "A weapon," Lyra repeated. The word held no emotion. "I was sent here to become a weapon against humans." "Not just any weapon," Kate continued. "The report indicates the transformation would create a catalyst capable of triggering crystal formations in human populations. A single fully transformed carrier could theoretically convert an entire city within days." Lyra looked down at her hands where delicate crystal lines traced her fingers. "Was this why I was always kept separate from other elven children? Why my father rarely visited? Why the royal healers watched me but never truly tried to cure me?" Kate nodded grimly. "The evidence suggests your condition was monitored, not treated. Your father was waiting for the disease to reach a specific stage before sending you to Earth. Our treatments didn't cure you. They accelerated the process. He used our own medical technology against us." The crystals along Lyra's arms flared brightly. Ember growled, its scales shifting to match the princess's energy signature. "What happens now?" she asked. "Does your defense council know?" Kate set down the tablet. "They know. They have called an emergency session. The recommendation is they want to terminate you, both of you, as a preemptive measure." Lyra showed no fear, though. The crystal formations across her body pulsed with light. "I would never harm humans," she said. "You must believe that whatever my father intended, I am not his instrument." Kate stood up, pacing the room. "I know that, but the council. They see threat, not potential. They don't know you, like I do." A plan formed in Kate's mind, rapidly assembling from fragments of possibilities. "I have contacts, people who operated outside official channels during the war. We need to get you away from Earth before the council issues the termination order." Lyra watched Kate with those ancient, violet eyes. "Do you risk treason for me?" Kate smiled grimly. "I risked my life fighting your people. Now I risk it saving one of you." Balance. Perhaps. They moved quickly. Kate contacted former squadron members who owed her favors. Supplies were gathered. A decommissioned scout ship secured. The commander transferred funds to untraceable accounts. She had prepared for emergencies since the war ended, never trusting the fragile peace entirely. 3 days later, as dawn broke over the ocean, Kate, Lyra, and Ember approached a small landing pad hidden in the coastal cliffs. The scout ship waited, sleek and anonymous, perfect for their purpose. They were halfway across the tarmac when the first security drones appeared, military models armed with stun weapons. Kate cursed. They had moved faster than she anticipated. Someone had reported her activities. "Run," she shouted, pushing Lyra toward the ship. The princess hesitated. "Kate, go. I will hold them." Kate drew her sidearm. The weapon felt natural in her hand, despite years without combat. "Take the ship. Coordinates are preset. Get to the rendezvous point. I will find you." The drones closed in firing stun pulses. Kate rolled behind a fuel container, returning fire. Her shots took down 2 drones, but more appeared. Military reinforcements would arrive soon. Lyra stood frozen, watching the battle unfold. Ember growled, positioning itself between the princess and the approaching threat. The dragon's scales blazed with energy. Kate took a stun pulse to her prosthetic arm. The limb sparked and went dead. She switched her weapon to her left hand, continuing to fire cover for Lyra. The princess still hadn't moved. Go, Kate shouted again. That is an order, Princess. Something changed in Lyra's expression, determination, replacing hesitation. She nodded once, then sprinted toward the ship, Ember following close behind. Their movements perfectly synchronized. Kate continued firing as Lyra reached the ship. The engines hummed to life. The commander backed toward the vessel, still providing cover. The ship began to rise. A military transport appeared on the horizon. Kate knew she had seconds before elite forces arrived. She made a decision, leaping for the partially closed ramp of the rising scout ship. Her fingers caught the edge. Her prosthetic arm dangled uselessly at her side. Lyra appeared at the ramp, reaching down. The princess pulled Kate aboard with surprising strength. The ramp sealed as stun pulses hit the ship's hull. The scout ship accelerated rapidly, leaving Earth atmosphere before pursuit could be organized. In orbit, Kate's emergency protocols engaged, masking their signature from Earth defense systems. The ship slipped past the outer markers and initiated its jump to deep space. Kate slumped against the bulkhead, exhausted. Lyra knelt beside her, examining the damaged prosthetic. I am sorry, she said. This is my fault. Kate shook her head. This is your father's fault, and Earth's for reacting with fear instead of understanding. We both became pawns in a larger game. The ship systems indicated they had cleared tracking range. Kate accessed the navigation panel, setting course for the distant outpost where her contacts waited. The ship would require 3 days to reach their destination. That night, as Kate slept, Lyra stood in the small observation room, watching the stars stream past. Ember curled around her feet, the dragon's now massive form taking up most of the available space. The princess examined her reflection in the darkened viewport. The crystal formations had spread further following the stress of their escape. Delicate lines now traced her face like luminous veins. Her eyes had changed to violet depths, now containing flecks of crystal light. Father, what did you make me? She whispered. Ember rose, placing its head beside hers in the reflection. The dragon's mental voice touched her mind. Something more than he intended, something he cannot control. A massive solar flare from a nearby star struck the ship the next day. The vessel's shields absorbed most of the radiation, but enough penetrated to cause system fluctuations. Kate worked to stabilize the navigation systems when she heard Lyra scream. The sound inhuman and filled with agony. She rushed to the princess's quarters. Lyra lay, convulsing on the floor, crystal formations across her body blazing with absorbed energy. Ember thrashed beside her, the dragon's scales pulsing with the same light, their bond channeling the same pain, not knowing what else to do. Kate tried to reach, Lyra holding the princess's shoulders despite the heat radiating from the crystal formations. The commander felt energy coursing through her own body wherever she touched. Lyra. Something is happening. Lyra gasped between spasms. It's changing me. Completing the transformation. Kate watched in astonishment as new crystal structures erupted from Lyra's spine and shoulders. No longer thin lines. These formations grew into armor like plates. Crystalline growths extended from her forearms, forming what looked like natural weapons. The princess's hair became entirely crystalline strands, catching and refracting light. Ember underwent a simultaneous transformation. The dragon's scales hardened into mirror-like plates that reflected Lyra's new structures. Its wings, previously vestigial, expanded into full membranes, reinforced with crystal veins. Its size increased again, now filling the entire chamber. The transformation lasted hours. Kate could only watch, maintaining. Commander Kate Sullivan did not want a houseguest, especially not an alien princess. The small house on the outskirts of New Atlantis had been her refuge since the war ended, a place where she could wake screaming from nightmares without having to explain herself to anyone. Now they wanted her to babysit an elf. Kate watched the medical transport land in her yard, the grass bending under the force of the engines. She crossed her arms over her chest. Her prosthetic right hand gleamed in the morning sunlight, a reminder of the last battle against the elves. 3 years had passed since then, but sometimes she still felt phantom pain from the fingers that were no longer there. Ambassador Olivia Mason stepped out first. Kate, they served, together once before Olivia became a diplomat, back when they both had all their original parts. The next figure surprised Kate. She had expected elves to be tall and intimidating, like the warriors she had faced in battle. Instead, the girl who emerged looked like she might blow away in a strong wind. Her white hair hung limply around a face so thin, the cheekbones threatened to break through the skin. She wore a simple white medical gown and had to be supported by 2 medical staff members. Strangest part was the creature wrapped around her shoulders. A small dragon with scales that shifted color like a moodstone. It watched Kate with intelligent red eyes that seemed to assess her. This is Princess Lyra, of the Elven Dominion. Olivia introduced them, and her companion Ember Kate nodded stiffly. This is a bad idea, she said to Olivia. These people killed my squad. Olivia pulled Kate aside, speaking quietly. You know the war was more complicated than just us versus them. This girl has never held a weapon. She was born after the worst of the fighting, and she needs our help. Kate looked at the frail princess again. Something about the girl's quiet dignity, despite her obvious weakness, reminded Kate of her younger sister who died during the first elven attack on Earth colonies. So this is how they make peace, she muttered. They give us their broken princess and we fix her. We help her, Kate, Olivia corrected. And yes, in doing so, we build a bridge between our species. The girl is royalty. This arrangement is unprecedented. The medical team helped Lyra into the house. The princess moved with difficulty, each step clearly painful. Her legs were like twigs that might snap at any moment. The dragon chirped encouragingly, adjusting its position. To help her balance inside, Kate had prepared a room as instructed. The medical team installed monitoring equipment and explained the treatment schedule. Dr. Lin, the lead physician on the case, stayed behind after the others left. The crystalline disease is fascinating, she told Kate. The radiation from the elven crystal caverns has altered her bone structure, causing a kind of beautiful degeneration. Her bones are developing crystal lattices that look remarkable but lack structural integrity. Can you fix it? Kate asked. Dr. Lin nodded. Human radiation therapy will break down the crystalline structures. Then we rebuild her bone density with a combination of stem cell treatments and nanobots. But it will take time, and it will be painful. Kate looked through the doorway where Lyra sat on the edge of the bed, staring out the window at the ocean beyond Kate's property. The dragon explored the room, sniffing at unfamiliar objects. How painful? Kate asked. Dr. Lin hesitated. Very. We will give her medication, but her physiology processes it quickly. The elves believe in enduring suffering. They see it as character building. She has been taught not to complain. That night, Kate heard soft sounds coming from the guest room. She found Lyra curled into a ball. On the floor, the dragon wrapped protectively around her. The princess's eyes were dry, but her face was contorted in pain. You should have called for me, Kate said, kneeling beside her. Lyra shook her head. Father says a ruler never shows weakness. Kate frowned at this. Your father isn't here, and pain isn't weakness. It's just pain. Everyone feels it. She helped Lyra back into bed and administered the medicine Dr. Lin had left. The princess relaxed slightly as it took effect. The dragon chirped and rubbed its head against Kate's hand in what seemed like gratitude. The medical treatments began the next day. Dr. Lin and her team converted part of Kate's home into a treatment room. The machines hummed as they directed focused radiation at Lyra's fragile body. The princess never cried out, though sweat beaded on her forehead and her knuckles turned white as she gripped the edges of the treatment table. Kate found herself staying in the room during these sessions. At first she told herself it was to monitor the alien princess. But as days turned to weeks, she recognized another motivation. The girl reminded her of the soldiers under her command who had endured without complaint. She respected that kind of quiet strength. Between treatments, Kate began teaching Lyra about Earth. The princess absorbed information with remarkable speed, learning English within weeks, though she spoke rarely. Her violet eyes took in everything. The ocean fascinated her most. Elven worlds had no large bodies of water. Their civilization had evolved in crystal forests and stone canyons. "Can we go there?" Lyra asked one morning, pointing to the beach visible from the window. Her voice was soft, but clearer than it had been when she arrived. 2 months of treatment had begun to show results. She could now walk short distances without assistance. "Dr. Lin said you need to avoid direct sunlight," Kate replied. "The radiation treatment makes your skin sensitive." Lyra looked down, disappointing obvious, despite her elven reserve. The dragon. Ember chirped sadly, its scales turning a dull blue. Kate sighed. "I suppose we could go at sunset. Bring a big hat and cover up." The smile that spread across Lyra's face transformed her. It was the first time Kate had seen the princess express joy. The dragon responded immediately, its scales shifting to bright gold. That evening, Kate helped Lyra down to the beach. The princess wore a wide hat and loose clothes to protect her sensitive skin. She walked slowly, but without help. Her bones were growing stronger. The dragon bounded ahead, exploring this new environment with enthusiasm. Its scales glittered orange in the setting sun. Lyra stood at the water's edge, letting the gentle waves wash over her feet. She closed her eyes, tilting her face toward the dying light. For a moment, Kate could see past the frailty to the beauty that was emerging. The princess had a natural grace that transcended her physical limitations. Something else was changing too. The dragon had grown noticeably larger. Now the size of a medium dog, it no longer needed to ride on Lyra's shoulders. Its intelligence was impossible to ignore. It seemed to understand conversations, and sometimes Kate would find it studying the books she left out. Its red eyes following the text as if reading. Dr. Lin was fascinated by the creature. "We know so little about elven dragons," she told Kate one day after a treatment session. "This one seems bonded to the princess at a cellular level. Their biosignatures mirror each other." When Lyra undergoes treatment, Ember's readings fluctuate in the same patterns. 4 months into Lyra's stay, Earth Central Command requested a progress report. Kate submitted medical data, but found herself downplaying the dragon's unusual development. The military had always been interested in dragons as potential weapons. She felt oddly protective of both Lyra and Ember. The princess continued to improve. Her bone density increased steadily. Her strength grew. Though still thin, she no longer looked like she might break at any moment. She began joining Kate for short walks along the beach at sunset. Sometimes they would sit watching the waves in comfortable silence. Kate found herself telling Lyra about the war stories she had never shared with anyone. Not the glory or the propaganda, but the reality. The fear. The confusion. The moments of connection, even with the enemy. "I killed elves," Kate admitted one evening. "I want you to know that." Lyra nodded. "I know who you are," she replied. "My father showed me the records of all major human commanders before I left. You led the assault on the Crystal Pass." Kate tensed, waiting for accusation or anger. "You did what soldiers do." Lyra continued. "You fought for your people as our warriors fought for theirs." The princess turned to look at Kate, her violet eyes wise beyond her years. "But now we try something new. Something harder than fighting. We try to understand each other." 6 months into her stay, Lyra had a setback. During a treatment session, she began. Convulsing alarms blared as her vital signs went haywire. The dragon screeched in apparent agony, its scales flashing multiple colors. Dr. Lin and her team worked frantically to stabilize the princess. The dragon had to be restrained as it tried to reach Lyra. Its distress seemed to make her condition worse. When they finally allowed Ember near her, both immediately calmed. "We tried a more aggressive approach to break down the crystal structures," Dr. Lin explained later. "It backfired. The crystals are more deeply integrated with her system than we realized. They aren't just in her bones anymore. They're throughout her body." "What does that mean?" Kate asked. "It means we need to change our approach," Dr. Lin said. "Instead of trying to eliminate the crystals completely, we need to stabilize them. Find a way for them to coexist with her natural physiology." That night, Kate found Lyra sitting up in bed. The princess looked different. Tiny crystal formations had appeared along her hairline, catching the moonlight. Through the window, the dragon curled beside her seemed larger again, its scales now showing hints of the same crystalline quality. "Does it hurt?" Kate asked. Lyra touched the crystals at her temple. "Not anymore," she said. "It feels right somehow. Like something." Awakening the next morning, scientists from Earth Central Command arrived. They wanted to study the crystalline formations. Scientists in sealed suits took samples as Lyra sat patiently. The crystal spires of the Elven Dominion reached toward the twin moons as King Zephyr paced the healing chambers, his footsteps echoing against the shimmering walls. The royal healers bowed their heads, unable to meet his gaze. Their magic had failed. Again, Lyra lay on the crystalline bed, her skin so pale it was almost see-through. Purple veins created delicate patterns beneath her skin like a map of rivers. The 11-year-old princess breathed slowly, each breath a visible strain. Her white hair spread around her like snow. Her eyes remained closed as they had been for 3 days. The king turned to his chief healer. "Soren, tell me again why she grows worse." Soren kept his eyes lowered. "My king, we have tried every elven remedy in our ancient texts. The crystalline disease spreads faster than our magic can contain it. Her bones grow more fragile with each passing moon cycle. Soon they may shatter at the slightest touch." Zephyr slammed his fist against the wall, causing several healers to jump. The wall did not crack. Elven crystal was stronger than any material known in the galaxy. If only his daughter shared that strength. A small, chirping sound came from beneath Lyra's blankets. A tiny scaled head poked out, red eyes blinking in the bright light of the healing chambers. The dragon hatchling named Ember crawled up to nuzzle against Lyra's neck. The size of a small cat, the creature had refused to leave the princess since hatching 2 months ago. Its scales shifted from deep red to worried purple, matching the veins beneath Lyra's skin. The king glared at the creature. "Yet another failure," he muttered. "The last dragon egg in our possession, and it bonds with a dying princess." A guard entered the chamber and bowed deeply. "My king, the human ambassador has arrived for the treaty discussions." Zephyr straightened his elaborate robes. "I will meet with her. Keep my daughter stable," he commanded before sweeping from the room. The great hall of the Elven Dominion stretched longer than 3 human transport ships. Its ceiling disappeared into darkness above, interrupted only by floating orbs of magical light. Ambassador Olivia Mason tried not to show her awe as she walked the length of the hall. Her simple blue uniform looked dull compared to the shimmering fabrics worn by the elven court. Olivia was not a tall woman, but she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had survived 3 interplanetary wars. Her short brown hair was streaked with gray, and a thin scar ran from her right temple to her jaw, a reminder of the last major battle between humans and elves 5 years ago. King Zephyr waited on his crystal throne, his face a perfect mask of elven superiority. "Welcome, Ambassador Mason," he said, his voice cool. "We are prepared to discuss the terms of our continued ceasefire." Olivia bowed, precisely the correct depth for addressing an equal, not a superior. "Ambassador Mason represents Earth Coalition," she introduced herself. "We come seeking not just ceasefire, but lasting peace between our peoples." The negotiations lasted hours. As the diplomatic team took a brief recess, Zephyr motioned for Olivia to follow him to a private chamber. Something in his manner had changed. His perfect composure showed tiny cracks of desperation. "Ambassador," he began once they were alone, "I have a matter of great importance to discuss." "A personal matter?" Olivia kept her face neutral. This was unexpected. Personal matters were rarely discussed between species, especially by the notoriously private elves. "Your medical technology," she said, "it far surpasses our magical healing in certain areas." Olivia nodded cautiously. "Yes, in some areas our science has advantages." The king turned away, his voice almost too quiet to hear. "And have a daughter." Olivia knew this already. Princess Lyra, heir to the Elven Dominion, though few outsiders had ever seen her. The princess had been absent from diplomatic functions for years. "She suffers from a condition our healers cannot cure," Zephyr continued. "Each day she grows weaker. Her bones become more fragile. The finest minds of our realm have failed to help her. Understanding dawned on Olivia. You want our medical assistance. The king turned his ancient eyes, now showing his true age. She will not survive another year in our realm. The crystal radiation that gives our people strength is poison to her unique physiology. I have a proposal, one that would serve both our diplomatic needs and save my child. Olivia listened carefully as the king outlined his plan. Princess Lyra would be given to the humans as a royal ward, a symbol of trust between their species. The official story would be that she would learn human ways to better serve as future queen. The truth would be an attempt to save her life. Such an arrangement is unprecedented, Olivia said, as is peace between our kinds. Zephyr replied, the human doctors would need to examine her first. Olivia cautioned, I can make no promises. The king nodded. I ask only for the attempt when. Olivia was finally brought to the healing chambers. She was shocked by the princess's condition. Lyra looked like she was made of glass. Her arms and legs thin as twigs. Her chest barely moved with each breath. The tiny dragon curled against her neck, watched Olivia with intelligent eyes. Will you take both of them? The healer Soren asked. They cannot be separated. The dragon hatchling shares her life force now. Separating them would kill them both. Olivia reached out slowly. The dragon sniffed her hand, then allowed a brief touch. Its scales felt warm like sun-heated metal. The creature chirped softly. The final agreements were signed 3 days later. Olivia, supervised as human medical staff, carefully transferred Lyra to a specialized transport pod. The princess, finally awake, watched everything with large violet eyes that seemed too big for her thin face. She did not speak. The dragon remained curled around her neck. King Zephyr stood at the docking bay as the human ship prepared for departure. He placed a crystal amulet around Lyra's neck. This contains your heritage, he said. Never forget you are of royal blood. Whatever path lies ahead, you carry our legacy. Lyra nodded once. The king did not embrace her. Elves rarely showed physical affection. Even between parent and child, as the ship doors closed, Olivia noticed something strange. The king's face showed no sadness at his daughter's departure. Instead, there was something that looked almost like satisfaction. The human ship broke through the atmosphere of the elven homeworld, its engines glowing blue against the dark sky. Inside, Lyra watched through a small window as her world vanished behind them. The dragon Ember chirped softly. Sensing her emotions, Olivia sat beside the pod that contained the frail princess. We will reach Earth in 2 weeks, she said. Our best doctors will be ready for you. Ira turned to look at her. Why did he give me away? The princess's voice was soft, barely audible. Olivia chose her words carefully. Your father wants you to heal. To become strong, Lyra stroked the dragon's scales, which shifted to a deep blue. He always said weakness cannot rule, she whispered. He told me a broken thing has no place on the throne. The human ambassador felt a chill at these words. She wondered what kind of father would say such things to a child. But the politics of elves had always been harsh. Their society valued strength above all. The medical team monitored Lyra's vital signs throughout the journey. Her condition remained stable, but fragile. The dragon never left her side, growing protective when anyone approached. The creature seemed to understand everything that happened around them. Its intelligence clearly beyond that of a simple animal. As Earth came into view through the ship's windows, a blue-green jewel against the blackness of space, Lyra pressed her hand against the glass. Her eyes widened with wonder at the sight. You will stay with Kate Sullivan, Olivia explained. She is one of our most respected warriors now. Retired, she has agreed to be your guardian while you undergo treatment. Lyra nodded, her face unreadable in the typical elven fashion. But Ember, the dragon chirped excitedly, its scales shifting to bright gold. The creature seemed to understand that everything was about to change. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, the hull glowing red with heat. Inside, the medical team prepared Lyra for arrival. Her new life was about to begin. The frail princess given away by her father was entering a world entirely unlike her own. What no one yet realized was that this apparent act of weakness, this sending away of a broken heir, would set in motion events that would change the fate of 3 species forever. The princess who could barely stand would one day make worlds tremble, but that transformation had only just begun. As the ship touched down on Earth, Lyra closed her eyes. Her journey from fragile gift to fearsome warrior had taken its first step.